If you like album reviews, or you're into reggae music, or you just like to keep your finger on the pulse of emerging artists, well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to do an album review of this album right here. Stay tuned. Roots Girl is the 2022 debut album from Jah'Mila. The poignant social commentary and the adherence to the tenets of traditional roots reggae make this album stand out. What's more, Jah'Mila has emerged as an ambassador for reggae culture, bringing the genre to the orchestral stage and also into the classroom by contributing to a school curriculum. The album is a modern, rootsy, social conscious, and soulful collection of songs that will make you stand up and take notice of this rising reggae star. Jah'Mila Smith Dunn is a Canadian-based, Jamaican-born reggae vocalist who's better known simply as Jah'Mila. Based currently out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, she was born in Jamaica to a reggae family. Her father is legendary reggae guitarist Earl Chena Smith, who's played with loads of reggae superstars during the golden age of reggae, including Bob Marley and the Wailers, Burning Spear, Dennis Brown, Bunny Wailer, and many, 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 many more. He's also played with more contemporary artists like Amy Winehouse, Erykah Badu, Joss Stone. He lays down some killer riffs on Forgive Them Father, one of my favorite tracks from The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And this is just scratching the surface of some of the names who Chena has worked with over the years. As for Jah'Mila, she grew up in the Jamaican countryside, surrounded by music, singing in choirs and church groups, and on the porch with her legendary father. In her youth, when her father wasn't on tour, she had a front row seat to watch and listen to him jamming alongside his musical peers. A fertile music environment, I'm sure. Jah'Mila's deep appreciation for Jamaican music continued to grow in her youth, and she moved to Kingston as a young adult to attend post-secondary school. It was after arriving to Jamaica, I believe, that her professional career began with singing background vocals with local artists. A break came in 2010 when, at the age of 21, and despite her father's best wishes, Jah'Mila went on tour as a background vocalist with Austin Family Man Barrett's version of the Wailers. You see, as a father, Chena didn't feel his baby girl was ready to embark on an international tour with all these men, right? In fact, Jah'Mila didn't tell her father until she was already in the US, at which point Chena had no choice but to entrust the care of his daughter into his former bandmate, Family Man. Fortunately, the tour was a success, and since this time, Jah'Mila has been blessed to share the stage with renowned reggae acts like Black Aruhu, the Congos, Groundation, among others. She migrated to Nova Scotia, Canada in 2016, and it didn't take long before she started to collaborate with the rich musical community here in the Maritimes. Early collaborators included the reggae collective Dub Cartel, and later alongside members of the Mellotones. Before long, Jah'Mila found herself center stage with a band, or an 8-piece band starting to form around her. Her pen hit the paper and a series of singles resulted, including the infectious Reggae Soul, a beautiful cover of Judy Mowatt's haunting classic Black Woman, and in June of 2020, Jah'Mila's own powerful call to action, Chant Their Names. Motivated by George Floyd's death and the Black Lives Matter movement, Chant Their Names resonated deeply with people and brought more recognition to Jah'Mila's songwriting prowess. Jah'Mila was now poised to release her first full-length studio album. However, the COVID-19 pandemic would delay the project for several more months to come. But delays didn't seem to slow Jah'Mila down. And this is where Jah'Mila's journey takes a rather unique turn, so stay with me here. She built a relationship with Symphony Nova Scotia, which would eventually lead to a remarkable series of shows with several different orchestras. Initially, just before the lockdowns in March 2020, she joined Symphony Nova Scotia for what was to be a one-off Black History show where she performed a cover of I Put a Spell on You, among other songs. Several months later, she was invited to collaborate with Symphony Nova Scotia again, and two shows would result. First, in April of 2022, Jah'Mila performed a tribute to the great Nina Simone. Then, in September of that same year, the fusion sessions occurred where she performed her original compositions with her band and the full backing orchestra. This show was later expanded into 2023's Reggae Roots, a musical journey that explores reggae's humble beginnings and the extensive impact it has on popular music, showcasing some of reggae's most iconic songs alongside Jah'Mila's original material, all backed by the full orchestras, including the Toronto Symphony Orchestra and the National Arts Centre Orchestra. And if that wasn't enough, she also contributed to a full 6-module school curriculum on the historical, social, cultural, and spiritual importance of the genre that shaped Jamaica and touched the world. And as an educator, I think that's really, really cool. So I'll link to all of these things down below so you can check them out later. Rewind just a couple of months to the end of 2022, and Roots Girl was finally released on November 1st of 2022. But yet, due to supply chain issues, it would be another 4 months before I would get my hands on this copy right here. But you know what? It was worth the wait. And I'm happy to report that we have another album in the pipes, scheduled tentatively for April of 2024. But for now, let's take a closer look at Jah'Mila's Roots Girl. All the lyrics were written by Jah'Mila, and she is the executive producer on the album. Additional composition and production credits are given mostly to Richard McNeil, who is also the keyboard player on the album. The artwork is by Rory Shepherd, and I quite like the kind of the smoky vibe that's going on with the natural fibers around the outside. You know, the ever so faint Rasta colors at the top here, just a touch. And then you have the kind of the tribal imagery in the background. So a very kind of fitting cover, I think. The recording was done in both here in Nova Scotia and also in Jamaica at Bob Marley's legendary Tough Gong studio. And that band went down to Jamaica, at least for some of the recording sessions, I think on at least 2 tracks, or maybe more. I couldn't quite clarify which were recorded where. But at least the title track, Roots Girl, was recorded there, and along with the music video was also recorded there. There are 8 musicians who make up Jah'Mila's band, and additional musicians come on at various points to add a certain flavor. Throughout the album, reggae fans will hear influences from artists like the Israeli Vibrations, the Abyssinians, Sister Nancy, Judy Mowat, Dennis Brown, the Wailers, and many more. In fact, in her liner notes, Jah'Mila says, and I quote, "I salute the great reggae legends from whom I drew inspiration on the music and the message within it." And so now I'll give you the first of only 2 criticisms I have of the album, and that's at only 28 minutes, it feels a little short. It certainly leaves me wanting more. Side A opens with Nyabinga Grounding. This track sets the tone for the album perfectly. It opens with these beautiful Nyabingi drums provided by China, her father, and the chanting harmonies of the Bingistra movement, giving praise to Selassie and leaving no doubt that you're in for a beautifully uplifting and rootsy experience. It's reminiscent of the opening track, Bongo Man, on Jimmy Cliff's 1978 album, Give Thanks. But I find Jah'Mila's opener actually to be a little bit more uplifting and affirming. It's a beautiful opener. The next track on side A is Evolution, a bass-heavy track with great percussions throughout. So it allows it to flow really nicely from those Nyabingi drums in the opening track. It continues with the themes of spiritual positivity and calls on the listener to stand up for equal rights. It asks the listener to be the change. It speaks of acting with intentionality and holding each other to account, right? So it's saying that we can become our better selves, and not just individually, but collectively, right? The I and I can become better selves. So together we can evolve, right? I-evolution. Next up, we have the title track, Roots Girl. This is my favorite track on the album. It's just so fun, makes you want to dance, right? It's a great tune. It's actually an homage to the Israeli Vibrations 1995 song, Rude Boy Shufflin'. In fact, in the liner notes, Jah'Mila says, and I'm quoting again, I would like to make special mention of Apple Gabriel, who graciously provided his feedback throughout the production of Roots Girl. And Apple Gabriel is indeed giving the composition credits on this track. Now, we lost Apple back in, I think, towards the end of 2020. So yeah, while the original song was Rude Boy Shufflin', here we've got Roots Girl Skankin', right? And so we have a distinctly empowered female perspective, something that's refreshing in the genre, I think. And this version feels modernized both musically and thematically. It maintains that rootsy feel, discussing, Rasta culture, the I Trinity, Africanism, and so on, but flips the script with a female perspective, alluding to the rebel empress, talking about women as warriors, soul sister, Mama Omega, and crucially, calls to reorganize the system. Musically, it explodes out of the speaker from the first notes and has some added dub effects, which I think work quite nicely here. There's some great guitar work here from Adrian Dunn, and the horn line from Shane Weber is really nice as well, and it's very true to the original. Side A closes with Sugar and Spice. This feels like a lover's rock tune. That's very soulful and has that R&B sort of feel to it. Lyrically, it's about being reunited with a lover after an absence, and Jah'Mila's vocals are on full display here. There's some great supporting vocals as well from Kristen Kovacevic, and I apologize if I pronounced that name wrong. I also quite like the trombone on this one, provided by Eric Landry. And turning over to side B, we open with Back Home. This is like a pure soul song. It's, it's still got that reggae guitar, that skanking guitar, but like the previous track, it has sort of an R&B feel. So in that way, it flows nicely from side A to side B. And despite being a song about being brokenhearted, it actually has a laid-back vibe, and I can imagine listening on the beach or poolside. It's kind of got a Long Beach feel, like I don't know, there's a bit of a Long Beach feel to it, whatever that means, I don't know, but that's what I get. Jah'Mila again is showcasing her great voice and versatility as an artist on this track. There are some nice harmonies here as well, this time provided by Carrie Ann Lewis. Some nice big fat bass on the bottom end from Alec Firth. And, overall there's nothing wrong with the track, but I think it's probably the weakest track on the album. Next up, we have the Mammoth, Chant Their Names. This is a powerful indictment of systemic racism, as well as a tribute to the victims of police brutality. It opens with a Malcolm X speech, as well as news coverage of police brutality against George Floyd and other unarmed Black men and women. Interestingly, Jah'Mila tells the story of how it was written a few days after the George Floyd murder in only about an hour and a half. Her team and herself immediately realized that they had something special here, and they dropped everything to focus on this. They rallied all their friends around them, their community, and all their energy put into this. And within a week and a half later, they had finished the song, recorded it, and shot a music video ready for release. It's a truly great track in every way, and I encourage everyone to check it out. And from Chant Their Names, we go into Rise. Now, this is my only other criticism about the album. I don't like the arrangement on this one. Those melancholy, smooth jazz horns just don't really work for me. After the powerful Chant Their Names, I want to rise through the freaking roof, you know what I mean? I want the horns to go like boom, 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 boom. I think back to like Bob Marley's Survival, the title track off the Survival album. But instead we get the kind of boom, 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 boom on this track. Excuse me. But maybe that's the whole point, right? The idea that you know, we rise up, or we get so far and then we're taken back down. The song is about being disillusioned after all, and kind of calling for a rebirth, and you know, rising up, even a rising to a new plane spiritually, I think. I mean, lyrically, I dig it. It's a great song lyrically. It's just, I wish it was a little punchier. Finally, closing the album, we have Irie Meditation. This track features Halifax hip-hop artist Tachichi. Thematically, it talks about manifesting positive vibrations. Musically, the smooth jazz horns work much better on this track for me than they do on the previous track. There's a nice little callback to Bob Marley's Get Up, Stand Up as well, from 1973 Burning album, where it says, "Wisdom is better than silver and gold. Half the story has never been told," a line in Get Up, Stand Up. And this is warning about sort of material possessions and calling for love, one love perhaps. It's a nice positive way to end the album, and to me it shows that while Jah'Mila's roots are clearly in Jamaica, she's also fully embracing her new East Coast home. Roots Girl has been nominated for and has been awarded several local industry recognitions, including Global Music Recording of the Year from the East Coast Music Awards. And with the Juno Award nominations just around the corner, that's the Canadian equivalent of the Grammys, I'd be surprised if she doesn't walk away with some recognition here as well. With deep-rooted love of traditional roots reggae, Jah'Mila's music blends a vibrant spirit of Jamaican music with elements of jazz and modern soul. Jah'Mila is passionate about social justice and uses her music as a platform for both entertainment and for activism, advocating for community, inclusion, and support for the arts. And Roots Girl, I think, is a great debut album, and I would give it 4.5 stars out of 5. And as I alluded to at the start of the video, we are expecting another album from Jah'Mila this year, tentatively in April, and with superstar support from the likes of Sly Dunbar, and already released the first 2 tracks. I'm really excited to see her growth on her sophomore album. I have little doubt that this empress of roots reggae will continue her rise to become a bona fide reggae star. Hey, thanks for watching. Really appreciate you spending some time with me. I'm Curtis. This is Young LP Lovers. And if you enjoyed that content, please let me know in the comments. You know, I haven't done a video with this much research first. I really enjoyed the process, but I'd love to hear your feedback down below. Yeah, do all that YouTubey stuff, like, subscribe, hit the bell. It does help get more eyes on my content, which is cool, and it just, you know, helps motivate me to keep doing this stuff, right? So that's it. One love. Peace. I'm out.